Hello and welcome back to my videos, my podcast, wherever you are listening, watching, welcome back. It is always great to see you every week and thank you for being here. Today we are talking about how you could get money out of your TSP in retirement. We all are pretty well aware of how to get money in, right? Out of your paycheck, whatever. It goes in, it grows, all those things we're very well aware of. But do we know how, when it comes to it in retirement, how do we get money out? What are the different ways? What are different pitfalls and things we have to think about when trying to get money out of your TSP? Some people just roll it over to an IRA so they don't have to deal with these options, right? But let's go over the pros and cons of all of this so that you can understand what we're really talking about. So, in September, or about that time of last year, there was the TSP Modernization Act. Okay, so basically what that means is that the rules changed for how you could get money out of the TSP. Now there are three main ways that you can get money out of your TSP, and that is one. The first is installment payments, where you tell the TSP, say, hey, I want $500 a month for the foreseeable future. And then the TSP does that, right? They send you a check for $500 each month out of your TSP. And the next option is just one-time payments, where basically you say, hey, this month I want $2,000. I'm paying for a wedding or something, right? Where you just get a one-time payment out of the TSP. You can only do this about every 30 days. You can't do it like a bunch, right? But you can do these one-time payments. The third option is what they call an annuity, where that's not to be confused with your pension, right? Sometimes that's called an annuity, but this annuity is where you take all of or a portion of your TSP and you give it actually to an insurance company. Like MetLife has a contract for providing annuities to TSP, federal employee people, and basically what they do is they guarantee you a fixed payment. So what that looks like, there's lots of options, ways to do this, but you could say, hey, I want a fixed payment from you for the next 10 years. And they say, okay, how much are you giving us to do this? You say 100 grand. They say, okay, with 100 grand in the next 10 years, we'll pay you X amount per month, right? And the huge advantage of using an annuity is because it is extremely, it is extremely safe, but it is a very low rate of return, right? And so basically what they do is they guarantee you a rate of return. It is generally 2-3% depending on interest rates, but it is very low, but it is fixed. Some people even do, hey, I want you to provide annuity or a fixed payment for the rest of my life. And what they do, they look at your life expectancy. They say, okay, this person is 50 right now. In his demographic, he's probably going to live to age 80. And so we're going to bet that that's when he's going to live to. And they're going to give you they're going to tell you what they're going to give you every month, right? And some people may love, they're like, hey, I don't have to invest my TSP anymore. I don't have to think about it. This is what I want, right? And so they'll pay you for the rest of your life that payment. If you die before age 80, it stops. If you die after age 80, you just keep getting it until you die. That's how it works, if you get it for life. Lots of different options there. But basically, the thing to know about an annuity is it's probably the least popular option. Very few people use it just because the rate of return in it is so low. It is very consistent and stable, and you don't have to think about investing in retirement. That's why some people like it. So you have to really look at the different options for you and see what makes sense. Now, there are a couple other things. Now, those are the three different ways you could take money out. But there are a few other things that happened during the Modernization Act and things that you just have to think about when trying to take money out. And that is how or in what proportion you could take money out of the Roth TSP and the traditional TSP. So in the past, with your Roth TSP and your traditional TSP, if let's say you were going to take out $100, right? A one-time payment of $100. You would have had to take that money out proportionally out of your Roth TSP and your traditional TSP. You couldn't choose, oh, I just want to take it out of my Roth or just my traditional. You didn't have that choice before. Now with the Modernization Act, you do. So you could say, hey, this $2,000 I'm taking out, I want it to come only from my traditional IRA. And you have some flexibility with your taxes then for that year, how much money's coming out and what you have to pay and all these things. So that's a good thing. That's a huge advantage for federal employees that they now have. Now, one other thing that you have to think about in retirement is RMDs. Now, with RMDs, what you really need to be thinking about is when you are approaching age 72 is the age where it starts, the government requires that you start taking a portion of your TSP money out, regardless if it is on the Roth side or the traditional side. So basically, they require a percentage, depending on your age, of that to come out. Because basically, when you put money into the TSP on the traditional side, you've actually never paid taxes on that money. And so at age 72, the IRS says, hey, we want our cut of that. You need to start taking it out and paying taxes on that money. And if you don't know these are coming at age 72, like I said, there's fees, there's expenses for not taking it out like you should, right? So you really don't want to mess that one up. Now, the TSP is an incredible tool. It does a lot of things incredibly well, but there's still one pitfall that really doesn't exist over with IRAs, right? Some people just want to move their TSP over to an IRA, and there's pros and cons of that. I wouldn't say there's a perfect answer to always move it over or not, but the one downside that the TSP does have is that you cannot choose which funds you're taking money out of. For example, let's say you have $1,000 in the I fund, right? And then you have $1,000 in the G fund, just those two funds. If you wanted to take, let's say, $500 out of your TSP, you could not pick which fund that comes out of. It would come out, if it was 500 total, you take 250 out of the I fund and then 250 out of the G fund. Now you can imagine that those two funds are very different and you may not always want to take it out proportionally, but that is how it is set up and that has not been changed. So that is one downside, right? Where maybe the I fund is super high and so maybe you do want to take it out when it's high, but what if the I fund drops a lot and it's really low? Maybe that's not the time that you want to take money out and you'd rather take it out of the G fund. Well, you don't have that flexibility. If you were over on the IRA side, you would. You'd be able to say, hey, I'm not selling that one right now. I do need some cash to live, but I'm going to take it out of different investments. So you have to look at all the pros and cons. The TSP does some things extremely well, right? Their fees are extremely low. And that is it's really simple, right? An IRA, once you get into an IRA, the investment options become a lot more complicated and there's literally thousands and thousands of things that you can invest in. When with the TSP, there's just a handful, right? So you have to look at the pros and cons, weigh it in your brain and see what makes sense for you in your life and how comfortable you are with the TSP, with an IRA, and to think about all the different options when taking money out of your TSP in retirement. So I hope that makes sense. I hope this is helpful and get you thinking like, okay, in retirement, what makes sense for me? Because the reason really that we save into the TSP is for retirement. That it's a retirement account, so we're trying to set ourselves up for retirement. So knowing how we actually do that and kind of what it looks like can be super, super helpful. And then remembering things like RMDs, things like that come along the way so we don't pay extra in fees and taxes and all those things. So I hope this is helpful. And again, I actually made a couple courses on the TSP, on Social Security, even one on your deferred retirement. That's a big one, right? All kinds of things it goes into. I have courses. I'm going to put links to them in the description below if you want to learn more. The one on the TSP and Social Security, they're mini courses and they're completely free. So make sure you go check that out. And I also write articles all the time for FedSmith. So if you want to check out those articles on FedSmith or on a website, I have lots of content out there for you to learn about your benefits and really plan for the future. So you have no excuse but to learn and to really get out there and get the most out of your benefits. So I hope this helps and I'll see you next week. And again, thank you for making it to the end of my video, the end of my podcast. I hope this brought value to you and your life. My goal with this content is to bring as much value to as many people as I possibly can. So please, if you can, if this brought value to you, please show your support, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, comment, give me feedback about what you want to hear about, what you want to learn about, and how you can get more value out of this, and so that I could do the very best I can to make this the best channel for my viewers, for my listeners, the very best I can. So again, thank you for being here and investing in yourself and in your future. And I will see you next week.